Let's try some more conditional functions. This time we have COUNTIF function and some similar functions we will be doing here. As we did SUMIF function, in SUMIF function we were having two combination of the function, that was for the sum and if function. And now in the case of COUNTIF function as well, we are having combination for two functions, that is count and COUNTIF and the if function. So before moving forward, let's remember what we can do with the count function. I will be going back to my Excel sheet, week 5. So what we can do with the count function, let's try here. I will be writing here equals to our standard format to write formulas, and we'll be writing here count. So what count can do? Count the numbers of cells in a range that contain numbers. So let me provide it a range here. I will be starting here. So it, as with the sum function, it is my requirement or it is my wish how I want to provide the numbers to count function. So I can go by clicking on this value and comma second value, comma third value, comma fourth value. So it is up to me. I want to pick the entire range by dragging it, or I want to go for some particular numbers. I will be closing here parenthesis only for the four numbers, and it should be returning me 4. So I got the 4 here for the count because I gave the only 4 numbers here to count function. Similarly, I can do it with the range as well. Now this time I'm providing here D4 to D19. Let me close this parenthesis and I am getting the value as 16 here. For these much numbers, that it should be 16 numbers here. So some of the values are hidden here, so that is why I can't see it. Now it's in the numbers here. So you can clear view of there. With this count function, you are getting the values for all those numbers which are hidden here. So now you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and we have this hidden 13 as well. Let's have the value for that also. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Now let me count these values. So this was the range given by the numbers here. So we are getting here count 16 in the bottom area as well, and the same resultant we are getting for count function as well. So in this way count function was working. Now we are having a condition here with COUNTIF. So what we can do with this COUNTIF function? COUNTIF function is taking two arguments here. One is the range and one is the criteria. So we are giving here the condition as well, and we are giving here the range as well. It counts the number of cells in a range that meets the criteria. Let's try that now, this function. Let's go back to the Excel sheet. So we are trying here COUNTIF function. It means we are giving a condition to count function. So let me write count if function. So it counts the number of cells within a range that meet the given condition. And as according to the definition, we need to pass two arguments. One is for the range and one is for the criteria. So I'm passing the range for this square one. So we provided the numbers from D4 to D19, and after that I am giving the condition. So let me give the condition for the 500 as well. I will be closing the parenthesis here. So we are getting here 3. Why we are getting 3 here? So we give the condition that number should be equal to 500. And so we have this 500, this 500, and this 500. So we got here 3 as the resultant for COUNTIF function. So it's counting the numbers, but it is counting only those numbers which are satisfying the given condition. Otherwise, it will ignore those values. Let me change this condition to something else. Let's try it with 200. This is 2 this time. Let me try with 6,000 here. This is 1 this time. Let's go for 400. So according to the given condition, we have the changed values here, and we are getting the resultant for COUNTIF function. Let's come back to the slide, have a look on some similar functions as well. Other similar functions are COUNTIFS functions. So we covered some ifs as well, where we were having multiple condition for sum. Similarly, we have COUNTIFS function, COUNTA function, COUNTBLANK function. These functions are generally very useful in the case of a data analysis, and it's used by frequently by the users here. So first we have COUNTIFS function. Ifs function, what we are having multiple conditions here, multiple criterias here. So first we are giving here, just see this example. First we are giving here the range, and then we are having the criterias here. And according to the criterias, we are counting the numbers here. So two condition, let's try COUNTIFS functions now. I will be writing in column 4, that is column F we can say here. So what we are doing here, COUNTIFS function counts the number of cells specified by a given set of conditions or criteria. So what we have the range, and let me write it again, if S. So we have the criteria range 1 first. I will be giving the same quar 1 here. This is my first criteria range. After that, let me give here the criteria. Criteria should be 500 again. Second case, the second condition I am providing, the second criteria I am providing, the range should be indicator now. So this is my second criteria range. And what is the criteria here? The criteria should be equal to, maybe again, let's go with the, this time let's try the net profit. Make sure you're writing the correct spellings here. Otherwise, we will not be getting the relevant results here. Let me close this quotes and close the parenthesis as well. So we are having two conditions here. The condition was that it should have the 500 as well as net profit. Now, this should be answer here, but this net profit is not equal to 500. We can go for one single condition as well to get the answer. Let me delete this second criteria now, and let's try it with the one criteria for the COUNTIFS function, and then this way we are getting here, what is the condition we are getting here for the 500. So we can try it for the multiple conditions as well. Now for the COUNTIFS function, how it is different for the COUNTIF function, we can provide multiple criteria with this COUNTIFS function by providing different ranges and the criteria. Let's go back to the slide. Next, we have COUNTA function. So what we can do with the COUNTA function? It is very interesting one. COUNTA function basically helps us in finding the number of cells in a range that are not empty. So let me give it a range. Values I am providing only single arguments it takes. So again, like as it is works with the count function, I can give singular numbers as well, or I can provide the complete range as well. Let me pass this complete range here. Same range we provided, close the parenthesis. Now it is giving me 16. So it will be returning me only those values or those cells which are not empty. Let me delete any value. I will be deleting this value here. So I'm getting 15 here. It is not counting the 15. It is not counting the second cell value, and it is giving me the 15 as a resultant. Why so? Because it is only returning those values which are not empty. Similarly, let me delete this. So this is 14. This is now 13. If I'm writing it somewhere, let me write 400 again. This time it is 14, 100 again, 15, and in this case it will be 16. So count A is returning me the values that is not empty. Count the number of cells in a range that are not empty. Similarly, we have another function that is count blank. So it works in the opposite direction of count A function. In case of count blank, it counts the number of empty cells in a specified range of cells. So let's try this function now. We'll be passing same kind of values here again. Same quar 1 and closing the parenthesis. So this time we are getting here 0 and we are getting here 16. So in first cell we have applied count A function. In second cell we have applied count blank function. This time it is giving me 16 and for the second value it is giving me 0. Now I'm deleting some values here. So now you can see the answers here. 15 is for count A function and 1 is for the count blank function. Let me delete another value here. Again, for count A function, it is returning 14. For count blank function, it is giving 2. So it is working accordingly. Let me write count function here. Let's see any difference we have with these numbers here. I will be passing the same range quar 1 here. So we have 14 again. So this is equal to count A only. What if I write any alphabet or any string here? Let me write ABC here. Do we have any changes now? In the case of count A function, it is taking it as value only, but count function, it is counting the number of only numerical values, and in this case again this cell is not empty, so it is not bothered about number or string, it is bothered about only being the blank or not blank. So this is the difference among these function count A function and count blank function. To understand it more, let's add one more string here. Let me add XYZ. This time again, you can see the difference here. For the count A function, the value is 16. For count blank function, the value is 0. And for the count function, it is 14 again. And if I am replacing this XYZ with maybe 6000, in that case, this will be 15, this will be 16, 0 as before. If I am replacing this ABC with any numerical value, let me add 789. So we are getting here 16, 16 and 0. So this was the value for count A function. This was the value for count blank function. And this is the value for count a normal count function, where we can provide if condition as well, but this time we are trying when comparing only the working of the count A, count blank and count function. So you can try it with your data set as well, and this is a very useful function whenever you are doing data analysis. Before deciding what kind of output you need or what kind of function, what standard deviation, you need to go for a variance, you need to go for an average of the numbers. So before that you will go for the count of the numbers, like how many values you have. Let's go back to the slide. So we have covered COUNTIF function where we are giving two arguments. We have given two argument as first is the range and the second as the criteria. And if the criteria is satisfied, only the count will increase, otherwise that value will be discarded. And on other case, count function only counts the only values for the numerical data. Then we have the COUNTIFS function where we can have the multiple criterias for the count function. If those multiple criterias are true, only in that case count will be increased. Then we have a count A function which only calculates or counts the number of cells, those which cells are not empty. And count blank works in the opposite direction of the count A function, and it only counts the number of cells that are blank. We have given some examples here also. For COUNTIFS function, we have multiple arguments. For count A function, we are giving range here. And for count blank function, we are again giving range. Next, we have some more conditional function and or. We need to try it with if function. So what we have with the and function, first understand that in and function what we can do, we can provide the logical values or a conditions to and function, and it displays true if all the conditions that are given inside these parentheses are true, are satisfied, false if even one condition is not satisfied. So we are providing multiple conditions here. If all those conditions are true, only in that case and will be returning us true. If any of the condition will be false, we will be getting resultant as the false. Next we have the OR function. It's again a logical function. In this function, again we can give multiple values. So it displays true if any of the conditions are satisfied and false if all the conditions are not satisfied. So we can use these and or function with if we already know that if we have the condition here, so we can have the combination for the if function and the and or function. How we can do it? So it is up to us how we are providing this condition. So instead of this condition, we can use this and or operator or we can say function as well. So before going to that, let's try and or function to understand it more carefully. Let's have an example from the same data set. I will be deleting all these formulas to have a easiest understanding. Now we need to provide here two conditions to check what we can do. Let's leave everything about the data. Let me give it two condition. If this or let me see here. What I can do, we can pass this indicator name to this AND function, and we are passing here indicator name that should be equal to expenses. This is we are giving first condition, that this indicator name should be equal to expenses. Second condition I am providing here, the second column quar1 should be equal to 500. These are the two conditions given here. Let me close this parenthesis. We are getting here false, false and false here. And what about this? We have the other condition here, expenses. In the indicator name, it should be given as the true. So let's try it. What is the mistake here? We have quarter 1 as 500 and indicator name is also equal to expenses. So this condition should be true in such cases here. Let's go back and we'll be writing the function again, and the condition is quar1 is equal to 6000 and I will be getting here. So this is true here in this case, and for the other cases we are getting false. Now let's add one more condition here, that this value should be equal to income. This is income here. Let me close this here, these quotes here. So we are getting here true. So this time we are at the correct path and these two values are correct, and that's why we are getting here true. So we can try same thing with the OR operator as well. Let me try with OR operator as well. So I will be writing the same condition here and clicking with the OR. So in this case again we are getting true, and let me change this value to some other field here. So instead of 6000, let me make it 789. So I'm getting here true, because in case of OR we can have only single value as true. In case of AND operator, we should have all the values true. In case of OR operator, we can work with only single true value as well. So accordingly, we can get the resultant for that logical function. This is and or, and just go through the description given by Microsoft Excel as well. So and checks whether all arguments are true and returns true if all the arguments are true. And in case of or, what we can do, it checks whether any of the arguments are true and returns true or false. Returns false only if all the arguments all the false. So let's change some more values to experience this. Let me make it here and again. So and I'm changing this value to 500, but indicator name I'm keeping income only. So this is false only because this argument is false here. If I change it to or, in that case I will be getting here true as the resultant. Before that, we have covered not function as well. Let me try a not function here again. So not I am providing and passing this or to this not function. I will be closing here parenthesis here. So this is now negation of the result provided by that or function. You can just have a look on the formula again. Let me go to this formula and show formulas tab. Here you can see this function which we have used here. So or we are using and then we are providing it to not. In this way we are passing two conditions to or function, and this or function we are passing to not function. This and function, or function, not function, three of them are logical functions. So you can have third argument as well, you can have the fourth argument as well. So it is up to you how you want to go for this logical function, but it is the same criteria will be followed up. Not will be giving the answer. In case of true, it will be providing us false. In case of false, it will be providing us true. And when we are working with or function, it will be going for one value as true. In that case, it will be providing us true. If anything and is 0, in that case, we will go for and. We covered not and or function here. Now, in the third case, we were having it with the if function. So the example is saying instead of this condition, we can use any and or function as well. And accordingly, we can have the true false value. After completing conditional functions, we have some other functions as well. Before going forward, let's rewind how many conditional functions we have covered till now, and these all functions are very useful, and for the data analysis generic purpose we use these functions very generally. First function we covered was if function, then we covered nested if function. After that we have gone through if else function, where we can have the multiple conditions. Then we covered if error, we covered is error to catch all the exception, to catch all the errors. Then we covered not function. We tried sum if function, sum if else function, which is a combination of sum and if function, and sum if else function is for the multiple criteria. COUNTIF function is counts the number of cells in a range that meets the criteria. And then we covered count if else function, count a function, count blank function. We covered and function, that a logical function, and why we covered it, that we can do it, use it with the if function as well. Then we covered or function, and we can use it with the if function. Instead of logical test, we can go for this kind of condition as well. And now let's come to some other functions. Now we have column and row function. So what we can do with the column function, it returns the column number of a reference. So what we are giving here, argument to this column function will be 1, and what we are passing here, whatever reference we will provide, it will return as the column number. Let's go to Excel and understand that before moving forward. Again, I will be deleting this, and we will be using the same set for the formula. Let me come to formulas tab, and let me disable the show formulas here. Now instead of false, you will be having some other functions here. Let me delete this. And so we are talking about column function. So let's read the description given by Microsoft Excel. It returns the column number of a reference. So it takes only single argument as the reference. Let me provide it 6. This 500, that is D5. I will be closing this. So this is 4. Why it is giving me 4 now? I tried it for 500. Column D6 we are talking about. This is for the D5. So we provided this number. And this column number is 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is why I'm getting 4 here. So it is returning me column number here. Let me try same value for this column here. So this is 5 now. How come? The first column is A, the second column is B, the third column is C, then D, E and F. Let me go with the G as well. This is 6 again. So if I'll go move forward, it will be 7 here. So this is the column number here, and I can have it the down as well. So this is, I have provided a range, and then I'm getting the column number here with this column function. So we are providing only single argument, that is the reference where we want to have the column number. It returns the column number of a reference. Then we have row function. It works in the same manner as the column function works. Row function is also taking one single argument, and that is the reference. So we will be passing the reference through this function, and this function will be returning us the row number of a reference here. So let's try this function as well. Let me delete this 456. This time we want to have the value for the row number. So let me use this row function, but we have in the description here. It returns the row number of a reference. Now I will be providing here again this 6000 and closing it here. Now you can see the actual difference here. So this is row number. Just see from here, row number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 19. So we are getting here row number. Let me copy it to the column 4 as well. So now we will be getting same kind of values here. Let me have the end values for entire range here. So same values you are getting here, because we are talking about here row. So the column function and the row function, column function returns the column number of a reference, row returns the row number of a reference. Next we have some similar formulas here, column S and row S. So what we can do with the column S and row S, it returns the count of columns. Count of columns as it returns the count of rows. So let's try these functions as well. We are moving forward to row S and column S. So what we have with the row S function, returns the number of rows in a reference and array. So I will be passing this range to rows function, the same char1. Let me go to till 200 only, or let me, yeah, this 200 is fine. I made a mistake without giving a function. So let me correct this first and then I'll come to this row s function. Now this data looks fine with all numerical values we have equals to row s, and then we'll be providing this complete range to this row s function and closing the parenthesis here and clicking on enter. So this is 16. Yeah, we have the 16 rows here, and if I have the values here, so I will be having this. Similarly, let me try it with a column COUNTMNS, that is returns the number of columns in array or a reference. So this time of course it is 1. We are in the column 1 only. The number of column is 1. So if I give a range like this in a number of columns, then I can have the multiple values. Let's change the range here. This time let's take income and 6,000 and clicking on enter, then we are getting here 2 here because we passed income and 6,000 here, so that's why we got two columns here. If I increase the range here, let columns, and then let me give this, let me include it from A only. I need to write it again. We are writing here columns that returns the number of columns in an array. I will be counting it from A, so let me go till the last. I am going till this T point and closing the parenthesis there, so we got here something 20. So this is from 7 to 70. It is already counted here as well. So number of columns. In this way, rows and columns work. To just understand the difference between all these four functions, with column function, we are getting the column number of the reference provided. With row function, we are getting the row number of a reference that is provided to this function. And with column S function, we are having the count of the columns. With the row s function, we are having the count of the rows. Next, we have the text function. So you have seen some things here, that format of cell. I'll show it again. So let me go to the Excel. If I right click this, or I have something here as format, let me right click this and click on format cells. Here I am having this kind of a window. From that number, different types will be shown here. These types are general, number, currency, accounting, date, time, percentage, fraction, scientific, text, special, and custom. So we can change the type of any number or any text as well. But text function, what we have with the text function, we have two arguments here. We can provide the value and format of the text, like which value you want to change and in which format you want to change. It converts a value to text in a specific number format, like we can have something like this. So if I pass this text, you can consider this in a cell A1, and you're giving here format as DDMM in 3 letters here and YY. So we will be getting the output like this. And if I return, if I pass it any other value, that is text A1, MM and D, then I will be getting the output like this. Let's try the same example here. I'll go back to my Excel and I will be writing here the same date. The date was given as July 1, comma 2021. Now we are calling function text. So it converts a value to text in a specific number format, and format we need to provide. The value is this one, the C23. And what format we are providing now? We are providing here DD, and I'll be writing MM and maybe YY. So some this kind of format I require. I'll close the parenthesis and let me check it. It should be in the double quotes. So let me change it to this single quote to double quotes and enter. So we got the result like this, July 1, 2021. Let's try it with third value as well. Before that, let me change it to a format as well. Let me go to format and I will be clicking here date, or let me change here as a number. Now we can convert it to any value. So you can just go through this example again. We have in the custom, accordingly we can change these values as well. Let me show this format for these values. So if we want to change as date, let me change it to some other format as well. I can make the changes here as well. So this is up to me how I want to make the changes here in the text function. You can try it with the 0% as well. So try this and see the difference how it is working. So it converts the text to the value in a specific number format. Next, some interesting functions we have: left, right, mid. Very interesting to do. So first is function is the left function. With the left function, what we can do, left function takes two arguments, text and the number of characters. So it returns the first character or characters in a string based on the number of characters specified. Let me try this. So this time, let's go back to the same data set. We are not trying anything R on. So as usual, we have the square one for our formula section. Let's try it with the indicator name. This we have the string. These are the formulas. Let me go to. We have the some text function. So here we can use this left function, and we will come with the right function as well. We will come with mid function as well. These functions we are using. So first try left function. Left function returns the specified number of characters from the start of a text string. So let me pass this range, this value here, indicator name, that is income. From there we need to pick, from the left side we are picking first five values, first five characters. Let me close this. Now you can count it. INCOM, that is 5. Cost plus space, gross, total, opera, Texas, net plus space plus p, net plus space plus p, to total 5. Same expn, cash plus space, quick, cur, that is taken from the current. Similarly, ACCOU, quick, CURRE. So you need to consider that it is taking space as a character only, and that is why it is counting it in the that numbers also. If I make this function as, instead of 5, let me make 2. So we are getting this much result. So from left function, what you can do, you can have the number of characters from the left side, and the count you can provide it to the function. It is taking two arguments. One is the text and one is the number of characters, and it will start it from the left only. This is the left function. Then we have the right function. Right function works in the another direction from the right side of the text, but it takes only the same argument, the text and the number of characters only. It returns the last character or characters in a text string based on the number of characters specified. Now let's try this function. Instead of left, let me write right function. So we are getting, this is the value, and we have used here 2. You can see it from this side. MELD, FIT, expenses. Here we are getting this nothing here. Why? Because spaces has been added here. Let me delete these spaces. Now I am getting ES. Same is true with the texts. So we have, you can see it here, the cursor. So let me remove these spaces. We got some values. Similarly, we can try for net profit as well. Percentage plus space, ESOM, ratio IO. Similarly, we have the output here. Let me try it with a different value. Let's have 7 here. So we got the values like this. It is not starting in the opposite direction. It is giving the value, but it is only picking the right side of those values. So this, in this way we can use left or right according to our requirement. Next function is the mid function. Mid function take 3 arguments. First, this is the text. Second is the starting number, and third is the number of characters. It returns the character or characters from the mid of a text string based on the start position and number of characters specified. So let's try this function. Yes. So mid function, what we can do with the mid function? Let me try this mid function with the same content. Mid here. So mid returns the characters from the middle of a text string and give a string position and the length. So what we are passing here, text we already passed. Then we need to tell the starting number. The starting number here. Let me start it from third position, and how many characters? 4 characters. Now you just see the output. Let's try it for the income first. So it should, we said that it should start from 3. So 1, 2, 3. Third is the C, and it should go for the 4 characters. So 4 characters is come. Similarly, STO, it is considering the spaces with the same O double S we are getting here, O double S plus space, TAL plus space, ERAT, XCS plus space, net profit, and similarly. So we are picking the values from the mid. What we are giving three arguments. The first argument is the text only. The second argument is the starting position where we need to start. The third position for the argument is the number of characters we need to pick. So we have covered left, right, and mid function. In the left and right function, we have two arguments. One is text and the another argument is number of characters. From left function we can have the left side of the number of characters, and for the right function we can have the characters from the right side. In the mid function what we can have, we can start it from a given position and go for the number of characters, and we are passing three arguments to this function, that is mid function. Next, we have two more functions, that is length and concat. Length returns the number of characters in a text string. What we are passing to this function, we are passing only single argument, and that is text. Before trying concat or covering concat, let's cover length function. So let me delete this. We have tried left, right, and mid. After this, we are trying length function. As we have count function for the numerical values, we have length function for strings. So what is the description given by the Microsoft Excel? Returns the number of characters in a text string. So let me pass it as single argument because it only requires a text. So let me pass this income. Let me close the parenthesis and clicking here. So this is a 6 characters word or string we can say. 18 characters string, 13, 24, 23, 5, 10, 19, 8, 11, 11, 13, 19, 16. So similarly, we have the values here. If I delete something from here, income, so it will be 5. So it is giving me the number of characters for that string. Next function is concat function. Concat function basically combines two or more than two strings. So we can pass it multiple values. It concatenates a list or range of cells and allows us to give a range. Then we have another function concatenate, but this time we are writing fully for this string. It concatenates several text strings, but we need to provide it into the commas. But in case of concat, we can give the range. Let's understand the difference. Let me delete this. Concat and concatenate we are covering. First, we will go for the concat. Concat, a list or a range I can give. So I can provide this range to this function. Let me close this and have this way. So I have some big string with me. So let me see the result here. So this is the complete string here. Income, cost of goods, gross profit, everything I am getting here. Let me do the wrap text so that I can see the complete output here. So you can see it here. So this is the output given here by all the ranges. Let me close this and see all the values here. So this is the complete set. You got that as a combination for all the strings. You can provide a range here. Now, if I do another function, concatenate the full form, in that case, my bad, I just made a mistake. Let me correct this. So I will be writing concatenate here, concatenate function, and then I will be trying to give a range to this function. So we are getting a error here, and in the same way, if I try a comma thing here, will that work with this function or not? Let's try that. So I will be writing concatenate here the same function, and this time rather than giving a range we will go for giving like this commas for different 4 values we are trying here. And let me close this parenthesis and we got the values like here. So resultant is same, but the problem or what we can say the difference is that with this concat function we can use only the values with commas, but in concatenate function we can give the entire range as well. Next 3 functions we are covering more, that are trim, proper, and find. And believe you in me, it's again very interesting function and good to deal when you need to do the data analysis with the string. So first is the trim function. Trim function, again it takes only one single argument, that is text. So it removes all spaces from a text string except single space within the words. So you can do editing very well with this trim function. So let me try this trim function here. What I will be doing here, I will be doing some changes, or before that I'll write trim function, trim. So it removes all spaces from a text string except for single space between words. I will be giving this indicator name to this trim function. So right now I don't have such values because we already deleted the extra spaces. Let me add some space here. I'm adding here this much space here, but I can't see it here. Why? Because it has been deleted or removed by trim function. It will be keeping only that single space that is required for a string, and other extra spaces will be discarded. So you can see it the output here. So there is no changes here, or what I can do, let's make it again. So this time I can see some cases of spaces, but when I try trim function of on this indicator name, then I will be getting the values only after removing the extra spaces. So trim function removes all spaces from a text string except single space within the words. Next function we have proper. Very useful function when we have the text. It converts a text string in a proper case. So what is a proper case? So before going to proper case, let's have a look on some functions here. So I will be this proper function, again it takes only single argument, that is the string. So proper function, I will be passing income to this. This is indicator name, and similarly let me pass it to the entire table. So we got these values. Now you can see those extra spaces. We have not applied trim here. Let me remove this cost of goods. And with trim function, we were having a good output. But now we need to manually remove the extra spaces which we used here, and to get the exact output. So this is the output here. Now in proper case, how you can see the difference here. Let me write income like this, but you are getting income like this only. How you are getting it? Because this is the proper case. In the proper case, the first word is capitalized. Now see the second example, this case of cost of goods sold. Now C is capital, O is capital, G is capital, S is capital. And similarly for other strings as well, you can have a look on that, cash at EOM. So C is capital, A is capital, E is capital, and this EOM, now other two letters are small. Now this is the case of the proper case. Similarly all other strings, all the first letter of each word is capitalized now, and rest everything is small. So this is the example of proper case. Similarly, you can try two more functions, that is first is lower. So lower function, it converts all letters in a text string to lower case. Let me pass this income only, this indicator name. So this time we will be getting everything in the lower case. Income, cost of goods sold, gross profit, total operating, everything we are getting into lowercase. Let's try as uppercase as well now. In this case, what we are doing, we are converting string to all uppercase letters. So let me try this. So you can use proper case, you can use uppercase, lowercase to play with the string. So it is now your requirement, your data analysis project requirement, how you want to see your output. You want to have a look with a proper case, you want to have a look with the lower case, you want to have a look with uppercase. Next function is find function. This is used to search. This when we using with the string, what we are passing, text to find, text to search within where we need to search, and the starting position to search. So it returns the starting position of one text string within another text string, and this is case sensitive. So we are finding something here. So let's try this function, and this is the last function we are covering in this week. Let's try this find function. So before that, we will be reading the description provided by Microsoft Excel. It returns the starting position of one text string within another text string and find is case sensitive. So first what we need to pass, we need to pass three arguments. Find text, what you need to find. So what I need to find, let me write, it's in capital, so I'll be writing here come here, and within text, which text I'm passing this text. Starting number, let it find from 1 only, and it is giving me 3. It is giving me 3. So it is very much correct. So let me do some more changes to get the exact value because I was getting an error, and that is why it was giving me this much error because this cum is not has been searched by this function. So let me try something else now. Here let me try to find out sold, SOLD, as it is capital. I'll make S as capital, and starting position let me give maybe 7, and I'm getting 15 here for the soul. Let's calculate this. 1 2 3 4 5 for the space, 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 and 15, and 50 at 15 position the sold is started. Similarly, I can, if I do what I do, if I make here cost, I need to find cost here, but I'm starting it as at 7. Will it be able to find out? No, it will not be able to find out. So that is why it is coming as error. And normally whenever we are getting these kind of errors, what we do, we make use of multiple function, like we can combine if error or is error, so that we will not get an output like this. We should have output in a good manner. Let me try that also. So if I write is error here, and will be closing the parenthesis like this, in this case I am getting this error. So that is why it is true is coming for the value here. If I try sold here, let me try sold, and that case I'm getting false, so I can have output in that. So you can use it in the if else case as well. So in case of true you will get the value, and for the false you will not get the value. So this is your output, how you want to see it. You want to go or you want to not go. Just you need to remember that this find function is taking three arguments. The first argument is text to find, second argument is text to search, and third argument is the starting position to search. And in fact this is a optional one, you can leave it also, so it will be starting it from the first position, and it is a case sensitive one. So what we have covered in this session, we have covered very useful conditional functions and their applications, how to use nested functions for multiple conditions. We started with using if function, we then tried if function with multiple condition with if else condition, and before that we tried nested if function as well. And we have gone through is error function, if error function, we tried if else function as well. Then we talked about not function or logical function, we covered and function, not function, or function, and we read about like we can try it with the if function as well. We covered all these conditional functions. After that we have come up on some other functions that is very useful when we are working with the strings. Especially we tried left function to fetch the left side of the characters from a string. Then we tried right function, mid function. We have gone through changing the cases of the text as well. We tried the proper case, we tried the lower case, upper case, and we have a good way with the find function as well. In this way we can go, we can explore our data very well. We tried a different forms of count function as well. We tried COUNTIF function, COUNTIFS function for multiple criteria. We studied about COUNTA function, COUNTBLANK function. These text functions and their applications are very useful whenever we want to make our data uniform and we want to work for a good kind of a data analysis, and your reporting will be in a very good form when you're using these kind of function, these text functions. And we understood the use of or and with using the if function. So this is all about this week, and I will be requesting and suggesting everyone to practice all these functions with different kind of data set. Only then you will be able to learn about these functions, and these functions can be clubbed together as well. So according to data set you can go for any particular text as well, you can go for any particular number as well. You can try it with large data set or a small data set, and you can have multiple numbers and multiple functions as well. And like in where we were having a nested if function, where we were having a logical function in the nesting, so that kind of functions usage give us more power. And you can have a look on the templates as well where functions are applied and then you can apply in your similarly on your sheet as well. That's all for this week. Thank you very much.